Okay. Everyone, just letting you guys know this event is going to be recorded to allow everyone else who has that wanted to attend but has missed tonight's session. Hi everyone, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Tom from ãlkalife. We're a brand of natural alkaline mineral water, and our mission is to empower you guys to take control of your health naturally, starting with the right water. This is our very first event we're running, and the idea was to give back to our ãlkalife community who've been supporting us for all this time. If you've enjoyed today's webinar and you found it useful, please let us know so we can continue to run them in the future. The aim was to just build a like-minded community of people, and hopefully when lockdown is lifted, we can hold these in person. I'd like to introduce you to tonight's speaker, Bianca Sheedy. Bianca is a naturopath practicing at Bondi Health and Wellness with a special interest in plant-based medicine, plant-based nutrition, anxiety, hormone imbalances, and gut health. She's also a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher, Reiki practitioner, and has years of experience delivering health and wellness talks in corporate settings for complete corporate wellness. Bianca is a huge nerd when it comes to nature, animals, books, organization hacks on YouTube, and mixing herbal medicines, or as her father calls them, potions. Her emphatic nature drives her mission to empower women to restore balance and joy in their life by reclaiming health and experience lasting changes. So as you can see, she's highly qualified to talk to you today about tonight's topic, how to live a plant-based lifestyle. We're really grateful for Bianca's time in sharing her knowledge and experience with our ãlkalife fans. Before we begin, I'd like you to jot down on a piece of paper or type in the chat box, number one, what is your primary challenge? And number two, what do you want to get out of this webinar? I find that if you start by thinking about the outcome, the information you're about to hear now has purpose and you'll get more out of it. If you have any questions, please type capital Q with a semicolon in the chat box and we'll go through them afterwards. Well, that's enough from me. Please give a warm welcome to Bianca Sheedy.
Thank you so much, Tom, for the introduction. So hello and welcome everybody to this evening's webinar, Living a Plant-Based Lifestyle. And thank you so much, ãlkalife, for allowing us a space with this free webinar so I can give you guys information about something I'm really passionate about. So firstly, I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land whose cultures and customs have nurtured and continue to nurture this land since a dream time, as they are the original healers of this land. And from my heart, I want to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. So thank you for my introduction. So yes, I am a plant-based naturopath, and I've actually personally been strictly plant-based or vegan for over 6 years. And this is because I'm, a lifelong admirer of animals, and I've got this curiosity to plant-based medicine and nutrition. And I'm also, really passionate about the health benefits that occur when you do eat a predominantly whole food plant-based diet. And my mission in clinical practice is to help as many individuals as possible to fulfill a long-term plant-based diet where it's sustainable to health. So what exactly is a plant-based lifestyle? So plant-based is a way of life that seeks to predominantly or completely avoid all forms of harming animals for any purpose. And this not only includes, what you eat in your diet, but this can extend to your choice of clothes, medicine, cleaning products, and beauty products, and even entertainment. And, when it comes down to the individual, there's different levels of being plant-based, and it's completely personal. So, for example, you might opt to avoid any plant-based products in your diet, but you still may, wear leather or go and to a racehorse event. So it's completely personal, your choice. But when it comes to a plant-based diet, the foods that are included are all your beautiful vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts, seeds, and water. And the quality of water is really important. So when drinking water, at least you want it to be filtered. And if you haven't already tried alkalife's water, I highly recommend it. It's naturally alkaline, it's mineral rich, and the taste of the water is superior to any other water I have tasted. But moving back to a plant-based diet, the foods you want to exclude is basically anything from an animal. So that includes red meat, poultry, seafood, eggs, dairy, and dairy covers all of the, cheeses, milk, cream, butter, mayonnaise. If you're already thinking, oh my God, how will I ever eliminate that? Don't worry, I've got you covered in a few slides down the track to give you some alternatives. Also insects and honey. Now, usually when I say insects to clients, they kind of give me a face of, what are you talking about? I don't eat insects. But if you are someone who loves having lollies, and particularly your red lollies, usually the natural food coloring is derived from crushed up bugs. So that's one thing that you want to exclude from your diet if you're wanting to be plant-based. So going plant-based, what are the actual benefits and is it sustainable? So firstly, let's look at the benefits of eating a whole food plant-based diet. So we know that our plants, they are really potent in phytonutrients, and phytonutrients contain antioxidants and they are anti-inflammatory in their actions. So this is going to help to strengthen your immune system, but it's also going to help to reduce your risk of chronic disease such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, and cancer. And there are numerous studies that actually show that eating a whole food plant-based diet, naturally in fiber, helps to reduce your body mass index. It decreases the risk of obesity. And not only that, it also helps you to maintain a healthy weight. And because the food is high in fiber as well, it means you're going to be satisfied for a lot longer. And it's also going to help to improve your gastrointestinal system with helping to excrete any waste. And also the other benefit is that it's friendly and sustainable for the environment. And, I know that, we hear this all the time, but the honesty and the truth is that there is no planet B. So it's really important that we're mindful of our choices moving forward so that the environment is sustainable for our future generations. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go completely plant-based, but it might be being more mindful to have more, meatless-free Mondays, or when you're making your meal planner for the week, choose 1 or 2 new vegan recipes to try out to eat for your lunches or one of your dinners. So just being more mindful of how much, animal products you are consuming, because, like it or not, animal farming utilizes a lot of our land mass, and it's a growing industry. So we're needing to deforest our beautiful rainforest to create more land. And it's utilizing a lot of our, water and energy sources, and it's contributing to more waste. So it's just about being more mindful of reducing, if not eliminating, animal products. So contrary to the stigma out there that, says a vegan is unhealthy, a vegan is depleted in nutrients and they become unwell, well, in actual fact, a whole food plant-based diet is 100% healthy. Now, notice that I'm saying whole food plant-based diet and not just plant-based, because you can, go plant-based tomorrow and you could be eating a diet that is, high in processed foods and refined sugars and, lots of stabilizers and thickeners, things that aren't in its natural form. And that doesn't necessarily equate to being a healthy plant-based person. However, when you eat food in its whole form, you are, gifting yourself all of these beautiful nutrients and vitamins that can be sustainable for your health and give you beautiful health benefits. And the Australian Dietary Guidelines, they actually state that Appropriately planned vegetarian diets, including total vegetarian or vegan diets, are healthy and nutritionally adequate. And well-planned vegetarian diets are appropriate for individuals during all stages of the life cycle. And those following a strict vegetarian or vegan diet can meet nutritional requirements as long as energy needs are met and an appropriate variety of plant-based foods are eaten throughout the day. So this is really important if you are deciding to go plant-based, or if you are already plant-based. You can absolutely do it and you can reap all of the health benefits, but you need to make sure you're eating a variety of plant foods because your gut microbiome is going to thrive on that as well. And you need to make sure you're hitting your nutrient requirements, which I'll go through in a few slides down the track. But first, let's look at easy swaps that we can make already in the kitchen. So I'm sure you've already started to listen and saying, Bianca, this is all well and good, but I have no idea where to even begin with, making vegan recipes or making, vegan alternatives to my dairy and my cheese. But I have you covered in this slide. So when it comes to swapping out your animal proteins like your steak, your chicken, your fish, you can replace this with your plant-based protein sources. So that's like tofu and tempeh, lentils. And if you're someone who loves your spaghetti bolognese, I hope I've pronounced that right if there's any Italians listening. I grew up in a family where it was pronounced bolognese, so I'm a work in progress. But if you love that, lentils is a really great swap for mince. Chickpeas is great if you are someone who loves having a salad with chicken or an animal protein source. Roasted chickpeas is an easy swap. Mushrooms are great if you're wanting to add something into your burgers to replace meat. And if you get a portobello mushroom and grill it on, a pan with all of the beautiful herbs and spices that you usually utilize in your marinade for your meat sauces, that's a really good option because the texture of a portobello mushroom when grilled is a little bit similar to meat, and it's high in fiber and protein and delicious. If you are someone who loves your pulled pork tacos, then I have your new best friend as a replacement for this, and that is jackfruit. So if you're not sure what jackfruit is, it's this huge fruit that grows in a lot of, South Asian countries, and the texture of it is really similar to pulled pork. So once again, you just utilize your normal herbs and spices to have a similar flavor to your pulled pork. And walnuts, when crushed and cooked, makes a really great alternative to mince. Now let's look into our dairy section. So if you love yogurt, that's really easy. You can swap it with a soy, coconut, or cashew-based yogurt, which is in most supermarkets today. But I want to give you a tip, and this is for looking at any product in general. You want to have a look at the back label, and you want to make sure that the ingredients being utilized are really minimal and that they, don't have any additives, unnatural thickness stabilizers, because there are some really great plant-based products on the market, and then there's some which, aren't that great for your gut microbiome and can be quite toxic. Milk. So you can swap your dairy milk for a dairy-free milk like soy, your nut milks, macadamia, oat, coconut. And I encourage you, if you do try a dairy-free milk and you absolutely hate it, instead of putting it in the too hard basket straight away, I encourage you to try a different brand, because often it can be as simple as trying a different brand and you'll find one that you like, but try and choose a dairy-free milk that is unsweetened, so you're not being exposed to extra sugars. If you love Parmesan cheese, the easy swap is to use nutritional yeast or a blended crushed up cashews. If you love to bake and you're thinking, oh, what can I swap an egg with in my baking? The easy swap is flax seeds. So to create the replacement of 1 egg, you need 1 tablespoon of crushed flax seeds with 2 tablespoons of water. You mix it up in a bowl, let it sit for 15 minutes, and it will create this, this thick texture similar to an egg to bind in your baking, or you can use banana as well. If you love scrambled eggs, the easy swap is scrambled tofu. And in my plant-based recipe ebook, I have a scrambled tofu recipe in there, and I'll let you know how you can access that for free at the end of this webinar. For butter, the easy swap is avocado or nut butters. And for honey, the swap is agave, rice malt syrup, or maple syrup. But with maple syrup, make sure it's 100% pure maple syrup, because sometimes it's just a really diluted version of maple syrup where it's got all these added sugars, which are not really great. Now, if you do decide to go plant-based, I highly, highly recommend that you become very familiar with the nutrients that you need to meet daily to sustain a long-term plant-based diet. And initially, it's a little bit challenging because you need to find your groove to know what nutrients you need to have on a daily basis. But it becomes a habit and it becomes a lifestyle. And before you know it, it'll be really easy. But I'm going to mention some of the key nutrients that you need to make sure you are having every single day to sustain a plant-based diet. And I could easily go through this slide and take a whole hour, but I don't have a lot of time. So I'm going to briefly go through each nutrient and tell you 1 or 2 plant-based sources where you can get this in your diet. But firstly, protein. So protein is really important to make sure you're getting adequate amounts in a plant-based diet. And with protein, there are 9 essential amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks to protein in the body, and you need to obtain these from your diet because your body can't create it itself. And there are certain plant-based protein sources that contain all of these 9 essential amino acids. And this is tofu, tempeh, hemp seeds, buckwheat, quinoa, and amaranth. So these plant-based sources of protein contain all of the essential amino acids. So that's an easy tick of the box if you're eating that in your daily intake. But there are some plant-based proteins that contain some of the essential amino acids, but not all of them. But the easy way to get around this is to combine your plant-based proteins. So other plant-based proteins include, all of your legumes, like your lentils, chickpeas, your nuts, your seeds. But say if you were deciding to make a lentil dal curry, you want to make sure that you've got a base of brown rice or quinoa on the bottom when you serve the curry on top to make sure you're getting all of your amino acids. And I've also got a dal in my recipe ebook as well, so you'll get access to that. Iron. So iron's really important, and I often see a lot of deficiencies in iron in clinic, both from plant-based patients and non-plant-based patients. But the thing about plant-based iron sources is it's non-heme, so it does require a little bit of assistance to absorb in the body. So your easy iron plant-based sources are your leafy greens, as well as tofu, tempeh, and tahini, but you need to combine it with a source of vitamin C, such as a citrus fruit like your lemon, orange, capsicum, tomatoes, or berries. And that way, by having your non-heme iron source with vitamin C, it's going to allow your body to absorb it a lot better. So if you're having, a bowl of leafy greens, or if you're having that in your stir fry, just squeeze some lemon juice on top and it will help with absorption of iron. Calcium, that's a really easy one. It's found in all of your leafy green vegetables and your tofu and tempeh. Iodine. Now, iodine is really important for, optimal thyroid functioning and energy production. And your plant-based sources are your seaweed, so your nori seaweed snack, so you can sprinkle nori on top of your food. Or if you are, seaweed's not going to do it for you, then choose a really good quality iodized sea salt. and add that into your cooking. But if you have hypothyroidism or Graves' disease, adding more iodine into your diet might not be beneficial. So please speak to either me or a doctor. Now, omega-3 fatty acids are really important for optimal brain function and cardiovascular function, as well as your skin. You're going to get this in your plant-based sources in chia seeds, your flax seeds, your hemp seeds, as well as algae. And algae is from the ocean. And the easiest way to obtain this is through either supplementation in capsules or in powder form, because it contains EPA and DHA in algae, which is going to help with better absorption of omega-3 fatty acids. Zinc. So zinc is one of those nutrients that is utilized in basically every single energetic pathway in the body. So if you're deprived of zinc, this means it can affect your immunity, your reproduction and fertility, your hormones, your energy levels, your mood as well. But you can get zinc in plant-based sources in cashews, pumpkin seeds, hemp seeds, and your legumes. And the very last, vitamin that I want to really stress the importance of this, that you need to have as a vegan, is B12. Now, unfortunately, yes, there are plant-based sources of B12, but you're not going to really get enough from your diet to sustain adequate levels. So most of my patients will go on a B12 sublingual spray, or they'll go on a supplement in capsule form, or some opt for injections, B12 injections, because it's easier for them. Because you do not want your B12 to be depleted, because if it's in a depleted state of low levels, then there is the risk of irreversible neurological damage, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So if you're plant-based and you're not supplementing on B12, please get a blood test and speak to a practitioner to make sure you're getting the correct dosage that you personally need, because everyone's dosage will be slightly different, whether it's due to deficiency or a maintenance level. Now, I know that I've covered a lot so far, but I've got about a couple of minutes left for, 2 or 3 questions. So if there's any questions, please fire away in the chat box section and I will reply. I'll give you a few seconds to write any questions. And while we're waiting for any questions to come through, I wanted to let you know as well that if you would like access to my free naturopathic approved plant-based recipe ebook with also a bonus meal planner in there, all you need to do is sign up to my newsletter via www.biancasheedy.com to access your copy. Or if you would like any extra help with, learning more about a plant-based diet, getting a customized treatment plan for you, or if you have any health issues that you need support with, you can always get in contact with me too via my website. But good, I can see that there's some questions flooding through. So thank you, Rachel. So in terms of where you can get a B12 spray, you can get it from your local health food store. However, if you're getting a B12 spray, you want to make sure that you're getting a practitioner only quality. So, some health food stores will have a on-floor practitioner there that can help you with that. Or you can also get it through a naturopath or nutritionist. So you can come and see me, and I can also write you a script for a B12 spray. So how can you tell if you're iron deficient? Okay. Best way is to go to a doctor and get a full iron panel performed. And this way you can see what your iron levels are like and what levels your ferritin levels are. And if they are really deficient, this may mean that you may need to supplement on iron or potentially get an iron infusion. But generally, if you are feeling really lethargic, low in energy, if you walk up the stairs and you're out of breath and that's not normally you, if you are feeling more down and you're not usually someone that feels levels of feeling down or depressed, or if you get any brain fog, I would get an iron panel test performed. So thank you, Rachel. Connie, how often should women do hormone checks, and do you know if you might have issues? Okay, so in terms of hormone checks, it really depends on what stage you are in your life. So whether it's during menstruating stages, perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. And I'd say if you do feel like you are having any hormonal issues, I would speak to a naturopath or see a naturopath, and then they can take an actual really in-depth clinical intake and clinical case study, and they can work out, okay, is this hormonal or is this linked to something else, like a gut imbalance? And then that way you can address whether it's appropriate to have a hormone panel checked. But if you're worried about your hormones, speak to your doctor, ask them to do a full hormonal check, including your male hormones as well, because women have both female and male hormones and androgens, to see if there's any imbalances. But when you do this, make note of what day you are on your cycle, because this will alter results. Next question. Lots of questions, so thank you guys. And I might, wait a few minutes more so I can answer a few of them. Are some green leafy vegetables better absorbed by being cooked? So this is a tricky one. So leafy vegetables, if you can have them raw, the better, because once you start to cook it, it becomes a little bit oxidized. But the thing about leafy vegetables is you want to help with the body with absorption. So what I recommend is when you have your leafy vegetables, chop them nice and finely, wait a few minutes, and then chuck them in to cook them. That way the digestive enzymes have already been broken down in the food for better absorption. But if you're making, if you're steaming your vegetables, that's okay. But I wouldn't recommend boiling your leafy green vegetables and then draining it, because the water is going to absorb all of the nutrients and vitamins. But if you're making a soup, that's okay, because you'll be able to drink the nutrients and vitamins. Do you recommend a dietary review by a naturopath such as yourself? Yes, I do. I think that, we're all a work in progress, and definitely that we can help you work out if there's any nutritional deficiencies by taking a proper case analysis, looking at what you're consuming every single day, and then we can recommend what nutrients you need to obtain from your diet, or perhaps supplement to make sure that your health is in an optimal state. And last question for this evening. Do you recommend to always be on probiotics or have breaks from it? Okay, so this comes down to the individual, because all of our gut microbiomes are completely different. So yes, generally being on a probiotic can have lots of benefits, because you're feeding your gut microbiome good pathogens, good bacteria, so your microbiome can thrive, and a lot of your immune system, a lot of your serotonin is made in your gut. So it's important we create a good environment for it. However, if you have an underlying condition such as SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, then potentially a probiotic might make your symptoms worse, such as, gas, diarrhea, constipation, gastrointestinal pain. So if you're finding that when you do take a probiotic, it's not helping, it's making issues worse, then chances are there might be an underlying issue occurring. But that's case by case, Connie. So I would recommend seeing a naturopath to get more advice as to whether you should be taking probiotics. And very last question from Renee, thank you. What causes mouth ulcers? This can be due to a nutritional depletion in your B vitamins. So, you get your B vitamins in your plant-based sources of food from your healthy grains, as well as some fruits and vegetables and nutritional yeast. So potentially you might be getting mouth ulcers due to a B vitamin deficiency. So you can always go on a B vitamin, a good quality B vitamin, and see if that helps. Okay, so that's everything. And thank you so much for all your questions. So if you have any further questions after this talk this evening, contact me via my website. And if you're wanting to access my free naturopathic plant-based recipe ebook to get you inspired, you can sign up to my newsletter via my website, www.biancasheedy.com. But I want to thank ãlkalife so much for allowing me to have the space to speak with you and share with you my knowledge. And if there's any feedback, please let ãlkalife know so we can make the next presentation even better for you. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for all of the thank yous coming through. And thank you, Tom. Have a beautiful evening, everybody. Bye.